Welcome to the December Omaha Linux Users Group meeting. I am your host, Jon Larsen. For all those watching at home, play the home game. So, what should we talk about tonight? Oh, the Drobo. Drobo. Okay, the Drobo is a product made by a company called Data Robotics, and they do a lot of data storage stuff. They were mostly in the consumer space when they started out. A little small 4, and then they made a 5-disc pack thing. And they don't really use RAID in their systems. They call it Beyond RAID. So it's not really like a parity kind of, well, I don't want to say parity thing, but their drives are set up so you've got, say you have 4 drives, and you want to protect against a single failure, and I think it's 15% of every drive is reserved for data from all the other drives. 15 or 20, I think. I think it's 20. So one fails, it's still copied out in these partition areas. This particular model is a Drobopro. The Pro only has an iSCSI port, FireWire 800, and a USB. So in this situation, it has a head unit on the top. Hey, how's it going? We just started. Want me to rewind? It's a Drobopro. So anyway, this particular unit has 8 drive bays in it. Each bay has a 2 terabyte drive. The Western Digital Green EARS, which I think is their 4K drives, I think. It's either EARS or EADS. I'm trying to remember which one's which. And it was actually a package deal from Newegg for $2,500 for 16 terabytes. I thought it just meant it can hold up to that much, but no, it actually came with the drives. I was quite surprised.
2 terabyte drives.
Yeah. So we opened the box, and had all these little drive boxes on the top, and then there was another box in there for the Drobo inside. So it's pretty cool.
How can it be called Pro if it doesn't have gig Ethernet?
It is gig Ethernet, but it's only used for iSCSI purposes. The protocols are really limited. Well, let's see. The Drobo FS, essentially their file server version, will sit on a network and do Samba, and you can download NFS packages for it. They have an app store for a whole bunch of packages you can put on it, like Apache and things like that.
With iSCSI, can you have multiple computers connected to it?
Not really. If it has 2 ports, then yes. I believe the Elite has 2 ports.
So would that be like you'd have a server with not much hard drive space? It makes an iSCSI connection to this Drobopro and then shares it out
It's just
through the server.
Effectively an external enclosure. It's not a single
Yes.
drive job. It's a big drive job.
Because the problem I have with a lot of these things is that if it's directly connected to the network, how do you do antivirus management? So you have to go through a server or something that filters all that.
So, for instance, their product lineup, right? This is their original ones. They've been around for a few years, but they've been starting to do the big ones recently, and more geared towards some business solutions. They've never really had that before.
If you look at the Drobo Elite one there, that's the one that piques my interest, because now it's multi-host iSCSI.
Yeah,
So
that
now
has
I
the
can
couple
run-
ports on it.
I can run 2 Citrix servers and run a Drobo Elite underneath them.
So the Pro, which is what this one is, has FireWire 800, USB 2, and an iSCSI port. 2 weeks after we got it, the Drobopro FS came out, which is essentially Samba, stuff like that. That's the difference between those 2 specific models. They may look the same, but the software loadout is slightly different.
Yeah, the FS doesn't have the FireWire and USB. It's just strictly an
Right. And they have some smaller ones. This is the original, the 4-bay. There's the 5-bay. I looked at a 5-bay. I did a quote with somebody here in town. Actually, I called Drobo, and they recommended Jellicos through their Data Media Solutions branch. And they did a quote for me with 2 drives. And the unit itself was like $650. And the cost of the drives was a little prohibitive. They were charging somewhere around 200 some bucks for a 2 terabyte. When you can get them on.
Doesn't sound too bad to me.
Well, no, but you can get the same exact drive. I mean, the model number and everything on Newegg for $119. Maybe it was 1.5 drives. Maybe I'm taking that back. But yeah.
No, it's not like a SCSI drive. Several $100.
Yeah, I know. But these are just standard ATAs, standard SATAs.
This company was overcharging compared to what you could order from Newegg.
Yeah.
Well, but it's. I mean, it's hard to know sometimes whether a drive is really like enterprise grade, something you're going to leave on for 10 years.
Western
running
Digital
full-time.
RAID. If it's a Western Digital RAID certified drive, it's going to work for 5 years.
How do you know it's RAID certified?
Because it says so.
They actually list them now.
They advertise them that way.
Some of the drives,
Or they'll list them as enterprise SATA drives.
Yeah.
they will.
They're designed for
Well, who was it
24/7
that was
operation.
changing their drives to
Worked
prevent
for
them
5 years.
from working in RAIDs? Was that Western Digital or Seagate? I think it was Western Digital.
What's the question?
There were some Western Digital drives that did not like to be stuck in a RAID.
Yes.
They weren't.
Was
RAID.
that the caviars from about 5 years ago?
No, this is in the last year.
Really?
You don't want to put the blue drives. I think it was the Western
Blue
Digital
ones?
blue. Because I've only seen
Are
green
they
or
the
black
really
in these.
fast spindle? Is the blue
No, the black is the fast
The
one.
fast one.
The black is the top of the line for like the consumer space or small business space. Then they go up from there. It's kind of like saying, Seagate's business enterprise, they have what they call Constellation now, I think. They used to be, Barracuda, and now they're Constellation.
Yeah.
But
So-
then again, you know
Bought a
what?
few Seagate Barracudas.
The device you can, you lose one, you can set it up so you can lose 2 drives. Fine, I spend another $90 for another 2 terabyte drive.
And I don't have to put all 2s in here.
No.
I can put a couple 1s, some 750s, and some 2s. And it'll automatically adjust all the settings for
Can
each
you
drive.
hot swap with these?
Yeah. So say you have all 1 terabytes in here, and you want to go to 2, right?
You can migrate by every day flipping it too.
Yeah.
And it'll handle
Mhm.
the rebuild on
You don't
itself.
even tell it what to do. It just
Yeah,
does it.
it's automatic.
It's
Yeah.
Mac-sized.
Yes. I don't don't have to do anything. That's why it was kind of nice,
Keep your mouth.
I found a video of this online that some people did, and they took it apart. And over here on the left side, if you're looking from the back, there is a 7.2 battery in there. So it will hold stuff if you have a power outage.
So you
Till
can
it
do
comes
a
back
clean
up.
shutdown.
Yeah, and they said something like, I think it was 24 or 48 hours it'll last. So it can
But
write out the rest of the information
Yeah,
to
but
the
it
disk.
must sleep the hard drives if it can keep it alive for that.
They're asleep right now. You don't see any lights down here, do you?
Okay.
Yeah. So it has a 15-minute wind down,
Okay.
and that is adjustable. I
What
had.
rate-
Go ahead.
What rate is it doing when it does everything automatically?
It's its own. It's not RAID 1. It's not RAID 5. It's not RAID 10 or 50 or
RAID
6.
Yeah, well, do you know what drives there's got to be some way to know what drives you can take out in what order?
If it's bad, it will be red.
Well, right, but say I mean, like for instance, in my current drives, it's RAID 10. There's 3 sets of mirrors. If I take out the wrong 2 drives in once,
right
then
here.
I just screwed myself.
According to what they say, you can take 2 drives out. If you set it up for dual
If you have the right,
redundancy,
if you have the right version, you can take 2 drives out.
Yeah.
That's the pros.
If it's
isn't it?
configured, yeah, if it's the right version of the Drobo.
it's got. I think it's got to be the one with 8 drives.
Dual drive redundancy, that you can pull into it.
This unit can be single or dual
Disk fill.
redundant. So I can set it up to lose 1 drive, and that will give me 12 terabytes of usable storage. Right now it's set up for if 2 drives fail, I have 10 terabytes of usable storage. So they call it Beyond RAID, and it's all mostly marketing speak, but
Where's the chart?
And if you have mixed sizes, the one that's full, I mean, it comes up in your interface and says this is the one to replace, and you take that one out, put a bigger one in, and then it just
yeah.
rebuilds and goes.
So like this says dual disk redundancy, available with Drobo S, Drobo FS, Drobopro, Drobopro FS, and Drobo Elite.
So only the Drobo, the base one, can't do it.
You can only do single.
Yeah.
This says number 2, smart volumes, only with Drobopro and Drobo Elite. Not exactly sure what a smart volume is.
Is that something like an LVM where you can expand it?
Kind of, but as we go along, you'll kind of see that I had to set some limitations specifically. So, anyway, pretty much these all light up at the bottom whenever the drives are running. There's a capacity gauge, so it actually will monitor the capacity. There is only I probably will cover. I should have covered this later, I guess, but there's only 3 file systems you're going to be able to put on this. It's Extended 3, NTFS, and HFS Plus. And the reason for that is the hardware knows those file systems. It can calculate the percentages full based upon what it knows is on the file system. Some people are playing with Extended 4 and some other things, but the problem you run into is you delete a bunch of stuff and your capacity doesn't increase. It can't understand it. So you could fill it up, delete a bunch of stuff, and not still be able to put anything else on it because it thinks it's full. So there's some smarts about how the file system works that it knows about in the system.
So when you put those you have your 3 file system options, you can mount either Linux, Windows, or Mac to those particular partitions, but it's not like a open filer or something where you can connect anything to it and then the box figures out where to write.
Yeah, you see, I tried to do OpenFiler. It would never see this. I even logged in and told iSCSI to connect to it and do everything, and it wouldn't see it. It would never show up as an available item for me to assign in the pool. And I messed with that for like a week, and I said, forget it. I mean, it's not full on 5 days, but you know how working with stuff goes. You work on it a little bit, and you come back, and stuff like that. So I just sat, and it was essentially OpenFiler, where the ISO is based on Cent, more or less. So I just installed Cent, and that was pretty much it. I got it working. Plus, a bunch of the Samba stuff I needed to do, I'm going to have to do ACLs using the set fackle command. And I don't think OpenFiler had that without a package install.
Do you know what version of Samba that can serve out?
This unit don't have Samba itself. The head unit will. So it's whatever is in Cent 5.5.
Okay,
Correct.
so because it has a head unit, you can put those 3 file systems on the Drobo. But the hit
Yeah,
unit
that's the nice
talks
thing
to
about the
people.
iSCSI version is you're exporting those volumes to another system that may be able to share it back out again. That's with the Pro. The FS, you can actually just install Samba on the box. I don't know how it does in joining domains, but I'm sure it works. People have been doing that for years. That big deal. You just got to mess with the Kerberos stuff.
They use a modified Linux kernel in these boxes.
Maybe. It may be. It might be like BusyBox or VxWorks or something like that. But they haven't. I haven't seen someone go after them as a GPL violations. Hey, you have to post the source codes. I'm not sure. That's usually the confirmation of something's running Linux, right?
Since it's got so much capability, I figured that would be the only operating system they would use unless they rolled their own.
Well, yeah, considering it's NTFS, Linux, and HFS. So, and maybe FAT32.
Maybe it's
It might be
BSD.
FAT32 as well.
Maybe it's BSD. I don't have to.
Could be. When I first got this,
What's the process?
I don't know. I can't tell you. It might be a Marvel. Well, that video that I saw may actually have something about that. We'll try to look that video up. Anyway, when you first get it, they want you to plug it in. I plugged it into the Mac. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I found on SourceForge, the lights are going to come up on that, by the way, drobo-utils.sourceforge.net. Somebody has actually written a clone of the utility suite for it. How are the lights coming?
They're
all green?
all the drive lights are green. There's a solid green LED, and then right below it there's a blinky green LED. And as soon as you plugged in, it was like that. Fraction of a second.
Import Drobo. No module named Drobo. Oh, is this Python? It may have broke when I updated to 14. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can get the most recent, because it's really kind of nice to have. Of course, I don't think they've rebuilt it for Linux. You know, I installed that out of the Fedora repo, so it's not a...
You do a QI on it, and it'll tell you where you got it.
Yeah, see, they changed...
Build host.
They changed
is
Python. So...
OLEA.org, whoever runs that. Oh, that guy.
Ismail.
Ishmael.
OLEA.org.
Yeah, the second line from the top, right hand side. Okay, that's where you got it.
Ho ho ho. Contacto. Well, he probably just built it.
No, just back up.
What, back to here?
No, to the Google search page.
Oh, I closed it.
That one.
Repo. Okay.
Very good.
Let's see if he's rebuilt it.
Ooh.
Google YouTube.
That had a date of 2010-3, so a month after
Good mark.
2 revisions. Oh yeah, there's 1 revision.
Do 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 Who knew that we'd have to be doing all this work? Let's see if this works. What was it? Rebuild. Yeah, let's do it this way. Age.
Is it an RPM build?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Honey, I'm home.
Hi, Mom. Hello? Yes, Mom. I'm in the middle of a presentation.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Mom.
Yes, everybody says hi. Everyone says hello.
Check us out on the web.
That's okay. It's around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so I just pick them up as I leave work. Uh-huh. Bye. I was hoping that it wasn't something that was a problem, so. So, how
Hi,
about those
Paul.
Huskers?
How about those Sooners?
Well, at least the refs didn't steal from us this time.
See,
We screwed it up on
I
our.
was at a Christmas party. That was supposed to be, come to my Christmas party, watch the game. And I was the handful of people upstairs not watching the game, including the person who was hosting the party. He's originally from Tennessee. So it was a lot of fun.
And that's all that matters.
It just got really quiet for the second half. There used to be a lot of screaming in the first half, and all these people come up, oh, it's halftime, blah, blah, blah. And it just got super quiet.
Halftime came along, my wife says, you got something else to watch on the Yes.
Oh.
Hey, have you updated your myth box to the new one yet?
No. I did the one at work today to 24.
That looked real good.
I haven't tried 25 yet.
25? That won't be out until March.
I know, but it's in bleeding. If you want, if you have
No.
it enabled,
Not
you can
after.
install 25.
I updated mine, and then 3 days later left for Indiana. Not necessarily the best thing to do. Well, let's see what happens. %, full. Look at that. Okay, so now let's do view. Okay, so they're all green. Tells me the firmware number of the unit. Okay. Tools. See if this actually works. Is it working?
Yep.
Yes.
Is that cool?
Red to green.
Now, the guy who wrote this,
Christmas show.
yeah, the guy who wrote this actually worked with Drobo to help with this software. So it's kind of nice. I don't know if I'd ever do a firmware update with this.
I was just going to
But-
ask about that.
It just says see if there's a new firmware. Now, okay,
There's factory.
yeah. It doesn't show HFS unless you're on the Mac. And then Extended 3 is not there. So it's kind of system dependent. I mean, this almost looks exactly like the one that they provide with the system, right? I could not use this because the maximum LUN size was 2 terabytes. I couldn't define a larger LUN size on this system. I had to do everything by hand.
What's the maximum size that EXT3 takes? Is it 16 terabytes? No.
8.
8 terabytes?
That's what they said, that you shouldn't go above 8. Now, I'm sure it takes more than that, but in the guide it doesn't recommend more than that. And so here's your option. Dual disk redundancy is set. Spin down delay. Use a static IP address. You have to if you're going to do iSCSI, you have to get that set before you're going to do, when you're going to be doing all your setup. So for instance, right now over USB, the drives are mounted. You see up here, they're already there. See, there's one, there's the other. So here's my big files that I was playing with. So the 50 gig file I did using DD from the head end unit, and it took about 15 minutes over the iSCSI, which is pretty good. The card, I bought a separate card just to do the Drobo. It's a dual port Intel Gig E that was made for virtualization. So it'll offload stuff from the CPU, stuff like that. So that's essentially the nice little, so there's your alert thresholds for disk space. And these are the specific drives.
Years.
So you can see which ones they are.
20 years.
Yeah, one's a little bit different, looks like. So,
Older model.
yep. So, let me see if I can unplug this because I want to look at I want to see if I still have my format script around. I don't want it plugged in when I look at the script. So the lights should go out here in a second.
Maybe it takes 15 minutes.
Nope, not if there's no connection.
Okay.
Ow, I just shocked on my laptop.
So when it goes into that particular mode, is it that they talk about what the wattage draw is, the power draw is?
I don't quite remember. I haven't actually looked it up. So.
I've got my kilowatt plugged in. Oh.
So the utils program, you can type a bunch of stuff on the command line. You don't have to use the GUI, which is what I had to do. So for instance, here's where it talks about the compatibility.
Coffee is hot. What the?
You need to look at your data and determine the backup data security strategy. If you have never done this or do not know what it means, please consult the deployment section. Remember,
Now skip to the forum
A
where
sync-
people are saying, I've lost everything.
yes, right.
It's your fault.
So in this example, they're showing Drobo utils, right, for there,
For Ubuntu.
for Ubuntu, yeah. It was tested using Python 2.4. Obviously, we just updated ours. Luckily, we didn't have a Python problem. Packaging stuff, tar file stuff, Git stuff. Try out the cleave. So we did the status. It showed us that we were 0% full.
SDZ.
Yes.
/F/S. Somebody's got a lot of stuff plugged in.
Yep. So, oh, by the way, when I plugged this in, the first thing it did is it showed me I had 8 2-terabyte partitions by default.
So each drive.
So I had to modify the LUN size to get it to give me different splits on the partition. So, manual setup. I had to do this whole spiel. Then it made me, what it did is it made me a script. Look at the script. The script kind of looks like this. It has to use part ed because of the disk size. You can't use fdisk. Because it kind of you have to use GPT partition types for volumes this large. Okay. So here's where I'm setting some stuff.
But all
Print.
that stuff is commented out.
That's because I ran it more than once.
Ah,
And I didn't want certain volumes popping up.
okay.
And this is where you're actually naming the volume. So This isn't the exact one I did because I've done it more than once. I've done the format more than once. Because I only have 2 partitions now. I have an 8 and a 2. A 2 I'm going to use for storing backups. Right? So, this is rather interesting. I'm not exactly sure what those do, but...
I can tell you what Sparse Super does.
Yeah. So essentially, my laptop was the only thing capable... Well, I didn't want to use the Mac. My laptop was the only thing with the newest Linux enough to be able to format that thing. So I had to put my laptop on the bench and then let it sit for 8 hours while it worked on it. And then I took the laptop home when it was done. So yeah, it takes quite a bit. Because that whole make 2AFS, you can just see it doing all those super blocks. Just crazy, yes.
Yeah, with,
always do it when you have time.
Volume that sizable, that might be an overnight affair.
Mm-hmm. So here's if you want to do little bits by hand. Print the partition, do it. Yeah, so it's kind of odd to see like numbers that said 65535 on blocks, and it's like, yeah, I can see where you might run out of addressable space when your blocks are the height of 32-bit. By default, Drobo creates separate disks visible to the computer for every 2 terabytes of parity-protected capacity. Natural use of the Drobo invites members to have a single large device covering all the data. On macOS, users often create a 16 terabyte LUN on HFS. This allows all storage to fit in one large pool. The downside of larger LUNs has to do with the startup time and the time to perform a file system check. Under Linux, unfortunately, with first generation Drobo, one should limit the volume size to 2 terabytes. It is hoped but not confirmed that later products support LUNs larger than 2 on Linux. Drobo M View therefore limits the size to 2. The command line interface can be used to create larger LUNs, which is what I did. So, here's your gotchas. You got to use GPT, which aren't supported by older disk versions. Tools based on libparted work fine mostly. Kernel version 2624. The USB layer will not let one address LUN offsets larger than 2 terabytes. This is a patched CentOS kernel. They obviously backported patches. 2631, there's a FireWire problem that prevents devices for 2.4. ext with 4K blocks is supposed to allow file system capacity of 8 terabytes. 4K blocks seem to be assigned by default, so I think it's a good max. It would be fun to set the size to 8 and test it out, which I did. Many tests have been performed on first generation products, and several different failure modes have been found when exceeding 2 terabytes. Data Robotics has addressed several failure modes via fixes in the kernel and in the FireWire, and continues to address with later generation products. Drobos work well with Linux Extended 3. One, of course, can set up NTFS, HF Plus, or FAT32, but seems actively counterintuitive on Linux. Developers of Drobo utils have not tested HFS. Linux does not write to journaled HFS at this point. So on and so forth. Good success is reported with NTFS. Okay. So we've already got our formatted stuff. This is another way, rather than using the GUI, to set the iSCSI address, because you're actually just pushing the data out there. And they say the next step is to disconnect USB and connect it by iSCSI. So on Cent, I had to do at least one package install to get that to work. It's the difference between the client and the server portion.
Is this machine with the iSCSI card?
Yes. It's essentially a network, but you're just using it as iSCSI.
Set up to use it as iSCSI.
Yeah, and it has to log into the Drobo. So think of it as an ID and password thing. Safety.
That can be automated. Yeah.
It's all automated.
Okay.
Yeah, it does it all by itself. If you watch it as it's booting, The one thing I had to do in FS tab is I had to specify that those partitions that I'm going to mount are net devices. Otherwise, it would hang on the boot. So it's deferring those mounting till later.
Ah, yes, you have to,
Yeah.
what, make it a 1-2?
No, it's just it's an option _ net dev. I'll show you.
Oh, okay.
So what?
They got something additional in FS tab, I know.
Yeah.
How powerful is your Dell hit?
What?
Is it a?
I think it's a Pentium dual core. I think it's got 2 gig of RAM. See, now it's going through. Here's the name. You know, data Drobopro, and then there's node and portal and all this. There's the IP address, the port number. Waiting for it to start up. So the lights will come on.
Lights were on a while ago.
So we'll put the cool cover. They have a nice little telling you what the lights mean on the back cover. This is actually a magnet.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's magnetized to the front.
That's really scary.
Unfortunately, when it was first taken out of the box, somebody tried to pry it off, and it was magnet, and it broke.
But I mean, right next to your drives.
Yeah, it's on the outside. They know what they're doing, I guess. So,
Yeah,
But I'm sure
box
some
is
people
sit there
won't
waving
put their drives
around.
around the top when they're moving around.
yeah.
I'm guessing that those magnets aren't strong enough to get through the effective Faraday cage driving thing.
Now I know that this is not going to show up on the stream, but
Unless you had a rare earth magnet, I think that's great.
okay. See where it just says net dev into the defaults? That's the deferment.
Okay.
You should also, and I'm using labels because the devices might change between reboots.
You turn
Right.
the lights
Sure.
off for a minute.
Craig, thank you. So when I formatted them, I had the labels on them, right?
Right.
So I'm just using these to reference the mounts, the devices when it scans them. Right? Here's my mount point, extended 3, and net dev. So boy, that's gonna go all night, isn't it?
Every time a large vehicle goes past that car, yes.
You want me to turn the lights back on?
No, because we're going to be typing on this a little bit. Okay. iSCSI config. I don't remember having to change much of this. There are some things I read said you have to make some changes to it. Some said you don't have to. I think I did. It was more of it's like buffer settings, like the size of the buffer or something like that. I wish I could remember where the page was. Timeouts, node session error, timeout abort, node connection, timeout, opt out. So, burst length, I think was one of them. Initiator name, so there's the name of Red Hat's. So this is like their server portion. I'm trying to remember where the daemon was. I cannot recall. Anyway, the NIC, I'm using the 172 network. So the Drobo is .2 and then the head server is .1. I mean, the computer thinks it's just a network, so it's not a big deal to it.
Is iSCSI like the SCSI protocol over IP network?
Yeah, I think it has to do with, I'm trying to remember what layer it is. I think it's the frame layer. Well, no, because it's already TCP. It's still TCP/IP.
Like layer 4,
Yeah.
transport maybe.
Yeah. So
What's your IP route table look like? What's the default?
I want the route to be my network.
Right.
So what is it?
There's E0, 16
It's 2 words, IP and route usually. Oh.
Hmm. I kind of used more than one how-to do this, and I don't know what my other one is. I have it saved, I think, on my computer upstairs, unfortunately. But there was they had to walk through how to get it to recognize for iSCSI, like, oh, I know. More details. That's right. iSCSI ADM to get it to find it. That's when I was not using the labels yet. So, and there's joining the domain. So it was the iSCSI ADM. And you're telling it to do a discovery for send targets. And after that, I didn't have to do anything to iSCSI. Once it restarted, it was kept finding it in every boot. So, somebody who's done, this is my first time I've done iSCSI, so it's kind of like a real new thing to me. And I'm like, where's all the files for this? And I wish I could remember where the files are. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not.
Maybe it's in the iSCSI directory.
The configuration files?
Yeah.
There's a net. Yeah,
Do
there's
RPM, or is it yum config files in the package? Try the package first.
See, because I thought I should be able to look at this. Oh, wait a minute. November 17th, so. Drobo? No.
Capitalization.
I will do it this one. Block IDs, FS tab.
Do you know what package iSCSI admin comes from?
Well, dev disk bypass IP, so that's the name, but that's in the LVM cache. That's not.
And it was on the XP boot line. Now you get a software.
Gosh, I wish.
Yeah, the software.
What is it? Quote asterisk slash iSCSI. Oh crap!
You don't have a network.
I don't have a network connection
Why does it have to do that?
because I don't have a copy of the database local. So what is it?
The dash capital C uses the cache. You got a cache.
Who keeps? Oh, are you turning a machine on or off?
Just turning it on.
I thought I kept hearing that. I'm like, is there a machine cycling through a reboot? It has such an esoteric command structure. Cap C,
Yeah.
high SCSI initiator utils.
So there's a like RPM and then dash query or change log or
Dash Q.
I should have better grab the mouse on this thing. Initiate or
it's like another file provides a tag or something.
So what are you looking for?
What the config files are for this package?
Oh.
Do an L, do a QL.
QL would hurt.
You might wanna pipe that
QL would
through
list-
less. That'll show you all the files that are in the package then.
that's the one we're looking at.
RCD's got 2 iSCSI files.
Unless the script just tells it to go and look for it. You know, it's like always search for a machine when this boots up.
We'll check RCD/init. There's 2 files in there that are installed by. Ah.
They're both running.
Well, looking at them might give you.
It's the same thing. Same
You
kid.
didn't you punch in the same? Okay, right.
Or is it just a file alias?
I think so. Command line. Okay, well,
I think what Kevin's wanting to do is look at this, open up the
Yeah,
script in VI.
I always look, not necessarily look at a VI, just do a less.
Less is always more.
it just reads that config file.
What else is down there?
So it loads a bunch of kernel modules and then.
Then does a daemon. So the modules are what's helping discover some of that stuff. BE to iSCSI, BNX to iSCNIC.
Do you know what BNX is? What is that?
I used to know what that. Oh, I think BNX to I.
I was just wondering if you know what
I've
BNX is.
never
Is that
seen
module?
that.
Is that Exchange?
Oh, it's the Equal Logic site.
Good crap.
And, on your Google page, your previous page, there was
Oh.
iSCSI
Upstream.
It probably just loads all the modules that may have a card. 'Cause I don't know if that's a. I don't remember if that was a Broadcom or not. No, it's all Intel.
Broadcom just writes a driver.
Yeah. Okay. No storage unit ever constructed at any price point can live up to the expectation of never losing data. There's no magic wand to wave to solve the data security problem. People still need a strategy around backups and their maintenance.
Backups are overrated.
So, apparently, Data Robotics has seen this. I don't remember seeing this when we were looking at buying this. Well, that comes in USB 3. Look at that.
What kind of
Drobo Sync.
backup strategy, backup technology can you use to back up 16 terabytes?
You buy another one. So, for instance, they're advertising this thing called Drobo Sync for the Pro FS.
Something like rsync for Drobo?
Pretty much. No, it works with Time Machine. So, this is the Drobo apps page. There's the admin utility, Apache, CTorrent, SSH, Firefly, which is iTunes media server, Foops, that's the DLNA or UPnP media server, Light HTTP, Pure FTPD, there's rsync, NFS, Wake on LAN, Perl, so on and so forth.
And all that stuff actually runs on the Drobo itself?
The FS version, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what is a FS cost, I wonder? $6.95.
$50 rebate.
That is without drives.
Yeah.
Now, there is an
That
alternative
holds
to
5
this.
drives, so you got another
Right.
600 and change, whatever, to populate it, depending on what size of drive you want.
Let's look at an alternative to the Drobo.
Buffalo Systems has one.
Actually, Network World just did a best devices for under $1,000 within the last 30 days.
Oh.
They rated one of the Western Digital ones probably the best. Those silver boxes.
How many drives does it hold though? Because all I've ever seen out of
4 or
Western
5.
Digital is single or double,
4 or
until you get
5.
their enterprise stuff,
No, it's
which is
there's-
really expensive.
If you haven't seen Synology,
They came up with something.
they're pretty much Drobo's big competitor. They have a lot more product range than Drobo does, obviously. So,
They bought somebody out because somebody else was using Disk Station, or they renamed themselves.
yeah.
Because that brand name Disk Station. was
There's
used
another
by
one called
somebody else.
QNAP, which Cisco actually relicenses their stuff.
Yeah.
These are essentially Linux boxes.
And they're DLNA certified.
Oh, yeah. Heck, goodness me. Here. Features page. Well, let's go back. It's not exactly what's specs. Here's the everything it does.
What does it support for file systems?
It's
What do you see?
right here.
There it is.
Those are the protocols.
Protocols.
Here's the file systems.
See, it doesn't support
The
HFS
XT4.
Plus.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, oh well.
Max SCSI target 10, Max SCSI LUN 10, volume type JBOD 5, 5 plus spare 6, 10. RAID migration from basic to 1, basic to 5, basic to 5 plus. You can expand with larger drives. Expand RAID 5 by adding a hard drive on the fly. 256 maximum groups, 1,000 users. So, there is a iPhone app, I believe, for this.
Everything's
Scroll down on the right
iPhone
side.
now.
Oh, and the Android. What about the right side?
Oh, under management.
IE Mobile. Symbian.
Symbian still being managed by somebody?
Yep.
Still most.
60% still. So, have you seen... God, it's killing my neck. I can look at my screen, but I'm not. Small Net Builder. These guys do a lot of reviews on equipment. And they have a list of charts. So here's their performance charts. Oh, look at that. The DS710 Plus currently has the top of the chart
Buffalo is the box.
That's RAID 1.
for RAID 1. Well, these are all going to be smaller machines too. Oh, look at that. They send you to a price page. And you click on it and it gives you the review and performance, reliability, and features. Whoa. It has a VGA port.
It's a full-fledged computer now.
Yeah.
Intel Atom, 1 gig of RAM.
You can plug a USB in and hit the
Oh,
copy
there it is at the
button.
bottom, yeah.
See, I haven't seen this model
right,
before.
Look right above, or between the two pictures. It's a 1.67 gigahertz.
A
Intel
D410.
Atom, gig RAM.
Huh.
It's one of these things with a bunch of hard drives in it.
Super I/O, Silicon Image, gig of RAM. Their standard test process, so they go through and do all this testing. If you've never been to their site, I highly recommend going there. Whew. There's a reason why they have a gig of RAM in their system. You guys remember me bringing in the Pogo plug?
Yep.
It's not going to get any of the numbers like that, but it works pretty good. I can tell when my cable modem's down because the light on the front of the Pogo plug turns orange because it can't talk to the server.
Oh, back to that chart.
This one?
Yeah, I mean,
There's the Terra Station Duo.
yeah. That's been around for a while.
There's the
Another
Seagate Black
company.
Armor.
There's another one, I can't
That one got
remember the
pretty
name
good
of it
rating.
right now, that's not on that list. Maybe they're no longer.
Well, there's more than one. There's the Link Station, the
No,
Terra
there's
Station.
another company. That's
QNAP?
not on their review list there.
Netgear.
Yeah,
Well,
it's none of the above. I've been trying to remember what the name of it is.
let's look at their charts then. Here's their big chart. Cisco, Thecus, Synology, QNAP.
Is QNAP that
HP.
one that somebody posted to the list and it's just a huge drive-based?
Oh, the red box.
Red
The
box,
thing?
yeah.
Is that QNAP or is that something totally
No,
different?
that's custom roll. That's a beautiful box.
Red?
Red box.
Red box?
It's a huge, like, 4U
Lacy,
server.
that's
That's
what
all
it
it
was.
is. Is you open it up and it's like 100
LACIE.
drives in it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's
that was
exactly
somebody's
what.
build project
Crap.
or something.
Yeah.
It was on the list.
Yeah.
Big Red Raid?
What?
God, what was the actual name of this thing?
I think it's Big Red Raid.
Big Red Raid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it recent? How recent was it?
It's old.
Ah!
It's still available out there.
Hey John, if I send you a link, which email account?
I remember it was young. Big, or,
The Gmail one. Relayer 370.
Oh, it wasn't recent.
Do a Google for the Big Red Raid.
Okay.
It was maybe a year ago.
I was about to type rave.
Just look at the images.
Talking about this one?
No, this is
Oh.
older. I was thinking.
Yeah, this is different.
The rack mounting.
February 2002.
And the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw the one that you're talking about. They
Yeah.
had 30 drives in the box or something.
Yeah, and they used port multipliers.
I'm trying to find that.
Oh, yeah, like the CD.
Isn't that
You
crazy?
might have some heating problems.
Yeah.
No. They're all fans. These are all fans
Oh,
on the
there's fans
bottom.
underneath
Yeah.
of it? Okay.
But look at all
That's
the
so
power
much.
supplies.
Yeah.
That was back when what drives were about 200 gig each.
And they were a company and they released all the specs, open source them. So if you wanted to build your own, you could.
Yeah. And they sold storage space.
Yeah, they were like a storage company.
Yeah. So you didn't really buy hardware from them, you bought
Oh no, you can buy the servers from.
Yeah, you could buy it built. They would build it for you if you wanted, but they're like, look, we're not in this to make money on the boxes. You know.
And everything was easily sourced from.
Yeah, they gave you the actual, they went so far as you could buy all of the parts. The screws, down to the
Yeah.
screws, down to, they tell you what power supplies worked best, what
Okay,
drives.
where do I go from here?
Go back,
I think this is the first page.
okay, yeah.
Scorecard.
This is right there, there's all the different ones they tested. But this was a great article, I just read it today.
You have to have an account.
Huh?
Continuing register here, become an insider. You get access to premium content.
Oh, you've got to be kidding.
It's like what's that? Experts Exchange.
I hate that
Click on
website.
scorecard.
I don't think this costs
See if
money.
you can click on scorecard.
Click on
at the top,
scorecard up at the top.
underneath network attached.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
Yeah, I noticed that too. That was like, wow.
What's that?
When did they make something?
Yeah.
Well, and they said it did pretty well. Their only complaint was
It's probably
it makes-
rebranded from somebody.
No, it's actually built by Verbatim.
Really?
That's what the guy in the article. If you read the whole article, he says he's like, yeah. When did that company start making something other than floppies and CDs? But apparently they've got quite a line of different items.
I haven't heard of them for a long time except for CDs. Blanks.
So like I said, this was something, guy, for you guys if you want to look at it a little more. I gotta find that other one though.
Oh, is it Backblaze?
That sounds familiar.
Blaze, that sounds right.
Backblaze.com. That how to build cheap cloud storage, petabytes on a budget.
There it is.
That's it.
That's the baby. 67 terabytes for under $8,000.
That's right. The pod. That's.
This is
For
just
you box.
awesome.
There was somebody selling units like that a few years ago.
I asked to build one. I asked, and I put together a business case to do it, and I got turned down 3 times.
The only problem I see with this design is you'll get a lot of vibration from all the spinning platters.
No, sitting around each disc is a high-tech rubber band.
And what about hot pluggabilities? If one of those drives in the middle dies, do you think it's easy to pull it out?
So there's your parts broken down.
They've got an actual part list too.
Yeah. You buy the case from them, and like I said, you look at that, $760 for the case.
Well, it's custom builds. I mean, even if it's off of their diagram, it's not a stocking item, I'm sure.
That's crazy.
They're the only place in the world that makes them.
JFS file systems.
Wow.
The
You can-
IBM one.
Yeah, you can plug that into your AIX in your basement.
Look at that. They have the whole broken out. Cables
Got
and
an
everything.
Foam rubber band.
Yeah.
HD.
Dog.
Vibration sleep.
Foam rubber band, House of Foam, 16 by 17 by 1/8, $1 each.
Oh, only an 80 gig boot. Okay.
That's not extreme.
So, let's see.
Port multiplier back.
That's crazy.
What was that thing called?
Back
Red Blaze?
Back blaze.
Red back blaze?
Oh no!
You've been deep, no. Back, as in Harry.
The Internet Archive.
Back blaze.
Can't get to the Internet Archive.
Getting it cached or
The heck is that?
Jeez.
It's the
Rack
petabox.
after rack after rack.
It's like pedal bear.
These are essentially, they're mini ITX systems, right?
Okay.
And there's 42 of them in a rack. And this is what the Internet Archive uses for their storage.
Oh.
They just keep putting them in.
Add another rack when they need it.
That doesn't seem very efficient. I mean, each of those is a computer in and of itself.
Yes.
160
but you need to
terabytes.
search through all this
160
stuff.
terabytes.
So having the CPU close to a chunk of the data, this is also the way Google does theirs. They've got two hard drives, 2 CPUs. There was an article I can't remember. Then they just parallel the searches. Of course, they're also using other software too. Like, I know Google is big into the MapReduce for storing things. I don't really know.
That's kind of slick, though. Was it, HP has boxes that you can buy now that are 1U and have no case on them?
No case.
There's no top or bottom. Oh. They're designed to be put in racks, 1Us. You slap them in, fill a full 42U rack with these things, and it sucks the air through 'em. There's nothing stopping the airflow. They're not designed for like your HPs, your Dells that pull air through and push it out the
Hey,
back.
Chuck. You know what?
They're
There's
designed
like hot
to
and
fill.
cold
Can you
aisles.
do
and
it?
just go.
Yeah, it
Set
goes straight up and
command
through,
right
so
there.
they're designed with
Just
as much open space up to down
What
as
is
they
it?
can.
Huh.
Yeah. that's it. And then, what does it have for the
Cuts down on
username?
the weight, cuts down on the material to
Is
build.
it root or is it?
I'm logged in as root.
Yeah. And their statement
Basically,
was.
what they're doing is using the rack as a blade server.
Just do like
and
this.
just putting
And
these in as
conveniently,
blades.
APC makes it the
'Cause
perfect rack for
It
those.
used to be, when I did SU minus, without specifying root, it would, it would still be using my username, the plain username. And that would get things confused. So I was just seeing what,
You mean this?
yeah. So that
Well,
wouldn't
if you-
happen if I specify root.
If you just do a straight SU without the dash, all it does is change your user ID. It doesn't change your environment. It doesn't start a new bash shell. It just changes your user ID and provides
It doesn't actually list username if I do the dash.
If you do an SU dash, that's shorthand for SU dash root, and that actually starts a new bash shell with everything's just
With
the
the
same
root
as if you
profile, so you get all
logged
the
in
root
as
tab
root
and
from
everything.
the beginning.
I just know it works.
Doesn't
Say goodnight, Grayson.
Doesn't that have the power off command?
It'll shut it off.
You know, Fedora, you can just type power off.
Have it. It's sent. It does. Don't worry.
I would make it. I like doing that. 4 keystrokes, hit the tab, boom, done.
Fan's still spinning a little bit. I've never had it got really hot on me. It's
Can
been
you
pretty
use
cool.
any drives you want in those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
have to buy them from.
You get the light, please.
And you can underpopulate it as well too, so if you only wanted to fill 3 or 4 or
Oh,
5
they
bays,
have
you
to
could
do
leave
that.
empty.
Yeah. Right.
Ow.
Just a little toggle switch. It'll go through it, shut down. So. So, who wants to present? Oh, wait a minute. I already have somebody kind of for next month. How about February?
I thought Aaron was gonna do something on
He is.
the open source build
Yes.
thing.
I asked him
Will it
to.
still exist?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's gonna crash and burn immediately.
To make some more laptop cables. I mean, attachment. Has anybody been playing with any new programs recently?
Product called Case from Dell. You ever heard of it?
Oh yeah, you mentioned that to me. I don't know if these guys have heard it.
Mind if I borrow your browser?
Yeah.
Okay. That stopped me before. So, our boss got talked to. As any good advertising, right? Talk to the boss, tell them about it, tell them it's better than sliced bread. And then they go and purchase it. We're just getting our hands dirty on this thing. But if you look on the left there, it's an inventory system, asset management, software distribution, patch management, service desk.
Everything there, Fusion Inventory and OCS Inventory does.
Do what?
Fusion Inventory and OCS Inventory does. Is this open source?
No. It does work Mac, Win, Lin.
Yeah, it does it too.
It does imaging for all three. Does patches. It does. Like I said, software distribution. Like I said, we're just getting our hand dirty in this. Our boss said we needed it. She figured out we're going to end up replacing because we're probably going to be replacing EDIR with AD. So ZenWorks starts to go out the door, and that's our way of doing imaging. That's our way of inventory. So we had to find a replacement for that. Our help desk software. This will probably end up replacing that. The service desk that's built into it. They've got a pretty good system for bringing in to help you get set up and such.
Does your school do laptop for every kid?
No,
How much does it cost?
Ka-ching! Oh, the laptop. You're talking about the software, not the laptop.
Same.
I mean, because I
It's
don't
a couple
see
of
anything on
appliances.
there.
Yeah.
So Fusion Inventory doesn't do.
Fusion Inventory.
Yeah, it's been around. It's based on OCS Inventory,
It's in some of the repos.
OCS Inventory, FusionInventory.org, and because it's got a help desk or at least a trouble ticket system,
This here?
and they're trying to merge it with OPSI, which is a imaging system. And I was hoping to get it merged with Clonezilla or so.
Is there a company behind this, or is this strictly an open source? Strictly an open source.
as far as I know.
Yeah, so
It
it's
works on
actually-
Mac, Windows, and Linux.
Okay.
And
AIX, Solaris, HP, BSDs.
the guy that
What, no NetBSD?
it's basically like you have an agent running on each machine,
Yep.
very small,
Mm-hmm.
and it can take commands remotely. to install software, host its inventory. You can tell it to restart the machine. There's different projects kind of merged together. Like GLPI is more of the help desk thing. And so there's plugins. They plug into one another. So
Yeah.
you can have plugins for either. And so OCS has a plugin for GLPI. So I don't know. It does a lot of the stuff that a lot of people get Active Directory for.
Look under partners.
We're partners.
To push out software and manage systems. But this, also works with, just plain executables. You don't have to have like an MSI.
I thought maybe you would have a list of companies to partner with.
Yeah, that is the 3 companies that do commercial support.
Oh, okay.
You have to go to Belgium.
Yeah, one of them is in Belgium. That
Oh,
was
but this
a
is
French
just-
name, but it could be in Belgium.
If you look at the OCS inventory,
That's also French.
then there will be a lot more.
So
Because that's been around for more than 10 years.
Contact, find out who
Right.
to call.
And that can be kind of a problem, is some of their cutting edge documentation is in French. But
Cutting
there is a
edge.
lot- Yeah, but they,
You got a
Come on, the
you got
French
a
don't
French-
do anything cutting edge.
You gotta have a French
Believe it
teacher
or not,
at Millard Public, she can do the translation.
but, I mean, I think these
Yeah.
guys,
The gals
they
that
were
usually
doing
teach
this
it are hot.
10 years ago, I
much
bet
better
these
than
guys-
SpiceWorks.
What's that?
Much better than SpiceWorks.
So,
Run it through Google Translate. That comes up right every time, doesn't it?
Interesting. I'll have to take a let's put it this way. This was not
Craig,
a
look at
cheap.
service partners.
How much was that case from Dell?
some of those things can be $100,000.
Apparently, there's commas involved.
Oh, yeah, easily.
$1 million.
There is a comma involved, and no, it was more than 100.
And then, now, if you open up go to another place, opsi.org, which is kind of like, it's kind of like Clonezilla, and what's the other one? Not Winner. It does push deployments. OPSI works a lot with OCS inventory and Fusion inventory for doing images and stuff. Now the thing is, what I like about this is, like your business, if you have like family that you manage, you're always helping out on their computers or something, or you have a set of people spread throughout the city or the world. You could set this up on an SSL server, or an SSL server with a VPN, because it's a lot. Well, so that you could push out updates to your friends and family, manage their systems, keep track of what's going on, and it's all free and open source. This part
Saved
here,
all that. I need to. I have a ticket that says something about increasing productivity.
Yeah.
so there's like the network management systems that you can spend $1 million on, and they're crap. This knows.
From the people in the trenches.
Written by people who have used that $1 million crap and got tired of it, so they wrote their own.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what these things are.
Now,
I'm sorry.
so there's what's the name of that one? There's Clonezilla, there's OPSI, and there's that other project on SourceForge for doing imaging, but it only works for Windows really.
Unattended?
Unattended's one. Not FreeGhost.
Well,
Oh, it is FreeGhost.
FreeGhost is one, but there's
But it's also
also,
FOG. FreeGhost is FOG.
Oh, fog, okay. There's also ping.
Yeah. So,
I think within the last year on, like, Frost Weekly, they had some guy that had some management system that he talked about. But I
Last-
thought it did both Windows and Linux boxes, but that's what the old episodes.
Because I just started using semantic
twit.tv/floss.
enterprise protection. It doesn't hold a candle to a lot of this stuff this thing does.
Imagine that.
Twit.tv.
/floss.
So, I'd love to do a comparison as to what like W package, WPKG does, to OCS inventory or Fusion inventory.
So that would do the same thing as WPKG? Okay.
But there is some
Older than
gotchas.
138.
What's that?
Older than 138.
Would it have been a Open NMS, Open Network Management System?
I think that's what it was.
What, say it again?
Open NMS?
That sounds really familiar.
That
yeah.
does.
I tried to do Webcam Studio to do the meetings, because that would allow me to have multiple webcams and feeding it into Ustream. But I had problems.
Simultaneously, or?
Yeah. It creates a loopback device.
I don't know anything about this.
Maybe it was
Sorry.
open.
I'm going to turn the recording off. So. Nobody's been watching for the last 30 minutes anyway.
Bye.